the second webinar of 2018, and our webinar is going to be on professional selling certificate. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Abdullah, Kwame, Rama, Rula, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. We're going to go ahead and start slowly but surely. Hopefully within this hour, we'll give you a chance to understand, well, maybe you know a little bit more about selling. I'm sure that you understand the game. All of us do. All of us are salespeople. I always say it to everybody. You are a salesperson, whether you are married or not married, dealing with kids, selling, we do every day. However, when we have a job as salespeople, as sales executive, that's something else. You know, it's your career, it's your profession. And the intention out of this particular webinar is how do we help you become the professional salesperson and executive that you see in yourself. So welcome. We're going to be, as I mentioned, for one hour with each other. Hopefully, I'll give you a chance toward the end to ask some questions, which I think is very important as well, because you may have some questions to ask. So I'll be more than happy to entertain these questions. And also at the end of this webinar, let me know if you will be interested in a copy of the presentation. We'll be more than happy to send it to you. We did a similar webinar, not too much similar, but kind of a bit of an overlap of a webinar that we did in December. I expanded on a couple of topics. Hopefully you will like them, but please interact as much as possible. Don't hesitate to interact and ask questions. I'll try to answer through the chat in one way or another. So here we go. Again, my name is Jamal Saeed, and this is the session. By the way, just to let you know, there's going to be some polls taking place here. So when I show you a question, by all means participate and give me your opinion. This way we also help you in remembering some key concepts that are critical when it comes to selling. Last thing I would like to say that normally we announce toward the end of this webinar some courses that we run in Dubai or other locations, and we would love you to attend these courses because that's where you learn a lot about selling and how to improve your selling skills. So here we go. Now, as I mentioned, my name is Jamal Saeed, and I'm a partner with Meirc. And the good thing, you know what, as you can see here in the logo, the company is celebrating 60 years. And you don't find many companies in the Middle East that are 60 years old, and probably also in other locations of the expanded area around the Middle East, whether it is East Africa or Sub-Sahara, subcontinent, or in other locations. 60 years is not a small number. So we're very proud of the company and that we have accomplished such a a feat. It's a big accomplishment for us. I understand from Abdullah that he is having a hard time listening. Abdullah, maybe you need to adjust your microphone because our testing here looks like the voice is okay. Just tweet out, tweak your microphone a little bit. Maybe it will work. All right. So what will I do? Let me just give you a quick brief idea about Meirc. So Meirc was founded in 1958. We are in Dubai, but we have other key locations. We have offices in Beirut, we have offices in Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, and we operate in 32 countries. Believe it or not, we operate in 32 countries. We hold public programs in 32 countries. So let us know. Maybe we will be in your neighborhood, and we would love to see you there where you can participate with us and be part of our team and our community. We also have Plus training over here. So in addition to Meirc, where we have lots of programs of topics, and we focus a lot on the you can say soft skills and on improving your skills. That's after you leave the university. We also have Plus training, which focuses on industry-based training, and that's also very, very important, by the way. What does the company stand for? Well, as you can see, the name of Meirc is Mastery, Excellence, Innovation, Reliability, Client Centricity. If you get the presentation, you will read all of these things. I like to move on to the presentation because I think that's why you are here with us. And this is the topics that we have. This is a portfolio of courses, very rich, as you can see. Again, if you receive a copy or if you want a copy, you will see all of these things in the copy. A little bit background about myself. I been in the industry for a while. I'm a newcomer to lecturing, training, facilitation. But as you can see from my experience, I have been around with many multinational companies. I have worked for PepsiCo, Sun Microsystems, and Cisco, and now I'm hopefully finish my career with Merck. But all of these things have been very rich, provided me with very rich experience that I love to share with you. And with Merck, I provide training programs on leadership and management, strategy and planning, sales and marketing, and I facilitate other courses when it comes to development, communication, negotiation skills, conflict management, and what have you. Moving on, and as you can see, I love cycling. My passion is cycling, so I love cycling quite a bit. I hope you have a passion, by the way. I sincerely do. I think that cycling is one of my passions. I hope you have a passion. Salespeople are passionate people, and I cannot tell you how important that is. And if you have a passion, it makes a difference in your relationship with the customer, because when you are passionate about something, whether it is a motorcycling, cycling, running, swimming, hunting, whatever it is, as long as you don't hunt animals, I'm against that. It's against my philosophy. But let's make sure that we leave some animals for future generations. So here we go. What are the objectives of the webinar? What I would like to talk about is a few things. For example, you as a professional salesperson, what kind of behaviors we like to see in you, what kind of practices we like to encourage you to have, what kind of insight we would like to provide you for the sales process. And I think this is very critical. I like to give you a fair understanding of what the sales process is all about. Understand the principles of negotiations. Yes, you negotiate a lot. And in sales, you have to negotiate because, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say it now. Sales is about closing deals. Always remember this. Sales is about closing deals. You have to close deals. Why? Because that's how you get paid. At the end of the day, if you are in the sales game, you get your bonus. You get your bonus, and the big one, the big fat check, when you close deals. And this is very important. And negotiations is part of it. Negotiating deals is part of it. And it's part of this process that I'm going to share with you in a minute. Okay. And last but not least, we'd like to learn about some questioning and probing techniques, which are important for you to understand the customer better. Because you know what? Sometimes you think that the deal is only $200,000 or 200,000 AED or Saudi Riyal or whatever, but with the right questions, you can make it a lot bigger. So it's very important that when you sit in front of the customer, that when you're asking these questions, think what the customer needs, because it's important that you sell them what they want, and you can only find out by asking questions. And of course, here we go. All our courses that we provide in our classes are backed up by blended learning. So after you finish your courses with us, you can go online and study more if you're interested in these things. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you. So I tell you, every penny you spend with us, it is worth the wait, because you can continue your learning even after you have attended our courses. Now, are you ready for the polls? I'm going to share with you one poll, and I would love your participation. So here's the first question. Selling is communication, transaction, and relation. Let's see. What do you think? Is this correct or not? Can you please answer the question? Let me know what you think. Is selling communication, transaction, and relation? Let me see. Wow. We have some quick participants here. That's fantastic. Well done, you guys. Very proud of you. Very proud of you. And you look to be answering the right way. And I'm going to share with you the outcomes of your participation. Okay. I'll give everybody a couple more seconds just to be fair to everybody. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to end the voting right now. I want to apologize for those who didn't get the chance to vote. Okay, so I'm going to share the results. So well done to all of you. I'm very proud of you. As a matter of fact, selling is communication, transaction, and relation. This is so true. And I like to spend some time on this particular topic. And I like to discuss with you, okay, um, I'd like to discuss with you something. I'd like to ask you, how are things changing on that front? However, as you can see here in front of you, this is the way that things have moved since the 1950s. You know, in the 1940s and 50s, selling was quite different than what it is today. Yes, we're still selling to people, but the tools are different and the channels are different. So as you can see in the 90s, 1950s, and 1960s, you know, things were about marketing, advertisements, and then came consultative selling in the 1960s, where we were talking to the customers and telling them what they need to buy, trying to convince them. And then we moved in the 1980s into strategic selling, where we were impacting the strategy of the customer themselves. And then, of course, in the 1990s, we had the partnering era, where we were building partnership with the customers. And then here comes the 2000s. And many of you are millennials coming from this era. This is where we have social selling. And this is where things have changed quite a bit. You know, this is where things have changed quite a bit. And this is where I would like to focus on the following slide. You see here, communication, transaction, relation. You see, in each one of these things have changed tremendously. When we talk about communication, what is happening? You know, when we communicate, you as a salesperson, normally you are counting on the marketing department to develop a communication mechanism. So this is very important. You have to be working with the marketing department to develop a good, solid communication plan with the customer. So you have a role. Yes, you do. Don't tell me you don't, because you are the one meeting the customer. This means that you have to tell your marketing team that's what the customer is looking for. So your marketing department know what's happening in the market in terms of trends, but they don't know your customer, because he or they are your customer. So it's very important you keep talking to each other. Okay. So when it comes to communication, things have changed quite a bit. And I will share with you some of the things that have changed in communication in that area so that you become familiar with it. We come to the transaction. You see, transaction is where you're closing the deal. And this is very, very, very critical. In the transaction era, in the transaction cycle, you know, things have changed. In the past, things used to be all on paper. You used to send the purchase order by paper, seal it with a red wax, and send it over there, and proposal coming and coming and going. Don't you think things have changed? Man, have they changed? Ever since I joined the sales community, I have seen things change tremendously in my life. And today, transactions are moving quite fast. So this particular process is different as well. So I would like you to ask you a question. Are you developing and getting familiar with the tools to drive the transaction process better? This is very critical for you, because the better you are in this area, the better you can move the selling process. So communication is important and transaction is important. But you know, as a sales professional, you cannot stop there. Because if you stop there, you're not securing future opportunities, which we call the pipeline. In the pipeline, it's very important that you always build your pipeline. That only comes through relationships, or you have to keep hunting. And sometimes hunting can be quite tiresome, especially today. So when it comes to the relations, which is the third segment right over here, also things have changed. We have lots of automation. We have lots of interesting stuff today that will help you in building the relationship with the customer, with the hope that the customer will buy from you again. And once the customer buy from you again, from relations, we go back to communication, and then transaction and relation. And this cycle is endless. As long as you keep it going, opportunities will come in. So always remember, that is why these three are critical for your success. And you have to be 10 out of 10 in each one of them. You have to be superb in your communication, you have to be superb in your process, and you have to be superb in your relationship. I want to ask you a question, and please answer. Which one you have the most impact on? If we say 100% impact, which one do you think you have the most impact on? Let me see. Give me an answer. Is it communication where you have the most impact? Is it transaction? Or is it relation? Let me see. Somebody's typing. Somebody already is getting enthusiastic. Abdullah is complaining about the voice. Maybe we need to help Abdullah somehow. Oh, so Walid is saying transaction. Eli is saying relation. Eli, well done. As well as Rama, Rama, well done. You see, communication, you have to do it with the marketing team. Transaction, you have to count on your internal operations, okay? And the more automated the company is, the better you become. But usually the company is investing in the process. But relations, it's your baby. It is your baby. That is where you sit down in front of the customer and build long-lasting relationship. This is in your hand. That is why I want each one of you to be as good as possible in relations, but impact the transaction and be very good with communication. Now, Rama, I like what you said. All of them are important, but relationship is your baby because that's where you are meeting the customer face to face, and that's where you have to leave the best impression. So let me expand a little bit on each one of them just a little bit more. Now, when it comes to communication, 4 steps to effective marketing and sales communication. There are 4 steps, and I got this one from Salesforce.com. And you know, Salesforce.com is a leading company in CRM, especially cloud-based CRM. Yeah, you see, I'm sharing with you already what's happening in the market in terms of changes. So 4 steps to effective marketing and sales communication. 1 is acquire support from leadership. You see, this is very important. When I was the director for sales at Cisco, as well as the GM for Sun Microsystem, I always align myself with the message that the company wants to get to the market. So always make sure that whatever you say is supported by 100% by your leadership. Number 2, implement technology to support alignment and communication. Of course, because today communication is all over the place. Part of it is going to be through your Twitter. Part of it is through your social media. Part of it through your mobile phone. All of these things are working for you, but you have to synchronize among them. In addition to other technology that will help you as a professional become better. And I tell you, we live in an age of speed. Technology is supposed to help you, not hinder you. Step number 3 is align around the same metrics. What does it mean? This is very interesting. You see, when you're measuring your success in one way and other parts of the company are measuring their success in a different way, then you guys are not speaking the same language. You have different metrics than other one. That is why it's very important that the company agrees on the KPIs. You have to agree on what is being measured. What's success for us? Is it closing deals? Is it the sales cycle, how long it takes us to close a deal? Is it the size of the deal? Is it the discounting? All of these measures are critical. And by the way, every sales phase needs a KPI. When I refer you back to my previous uh, webinar, you will get more about the KPIs. I talked about it then. Then the last one is share feedback. You see, to close the loop of communication, whenever you go to the market, it's very important to tell your communication team and your marketing team what's happening. They know the trends because they have statistics, but they don't know your customer. So it's very important to tell them the customer is looking for this and looking for that. And sometimes they will help you in developing products that they can buy from you. So these 4 steps are very important in effective marketing and sales communication. Here comes the next one. When we talk about transaction process, things have changed tremendously. And that is why sometimes you have impact on it by the way you use it. But implementation, usually the company puts lots of money behind it. For example, big data. Big data is something very, very, very big today. And lots of people are using it very, very wisely. It's amazing how much knowledge and intelligence the big data has given us over the past 6-7 years. Because big data, that's how old it is. It's about 6 to 7 years. And we start hearing about big data, and basically it tied our internal data to the market data, and we're putting them together, and now we understand what's going on, kind of. So big data is it's impacting your process in many ways. Second, social platform. Of course, you know what? If you are on LinkedIn, and I am on LinkedIn, and please look me up and I'll be more than happy to accept your invitation. If you are on LinkedIn, LinkedIn can provide you with the LinkedIn sales enabler. And the sales enabler by itself now is part of the process, transaction process, where you're communicating with the customer, finding out who they are, all of these things. Isn't that amazing? So a lot of things are moving more and more toward the cloud, or they're becoming more automated, and that's something phenomenal. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to become very good at technology. Don't hesitate at all. Sometimes it's scary, but don't be afraid. The more you know about it, the better you become. The third one is Salesforce automation systems. And that's where, how you automate your Salesforce. For example, lots of the activities that you do manually are becoming automated. Whether filling up information about the customer, uploading it on your pad or your iPhone or Samsung and uploading it automatically. In many ways, this is fantastic, guys, because when you are in the field and you enter this data, when you go back to your office, you don't have to enter data again. There and then, it's ready. So make sure that you automate as possible, and this way you spend your time meeting customers and creating opportunities. Because if you divide your time, you know that's about 25% of your time is face-to-face. And today, this is a good number, but we would like to bring it up to 30, 35. And you can do it by Salesforce automation. Then you have cloud-based CRM technology. Now, this has been around for a while, but with Salesforce.com, and I'm not here selling Salesforce.com, but you know what? I have to give them credit. They have done a very good job in terms of automating the CRM process and putting it online. As a matter of fact, I came from when I was with Sun Microsystems, I rolled out a full-fledged CRM, but it was based on our systems. It was internal. But when I moved to Cisco and I started using Salesforce.com, man, I was amazed by how powerful that tool is. So things have changed quite a bit. Lots of things are moving to the cloud. And it's not only Salesforce.com. A lot of companies are moving there. Sage also have a very good system. So many companies are there. So CRM, don't leave home without it, okay? Then you have mobile technology. When was the last time you took your computer? Tell me. You hardly take your computer with you. Either you take your pad or you take your phone. All your presentations should be there. All your PDFs should be there. Anything you communicate with the customer should be through mobile technology. That's what they want. As a matter of fact, paper is old-fashioned today. Sometimes I use it, but I tell you, I prefer to use the electronic media, and it makes me feel good, that I'm on top of my game when it comes to these things. And then, of course, bring your own device. And this is something, the BYOD, that's something that customers love. And if you can push things to the customer, especially if you are doing a demo or something like that, and say, listen, why don't you access through your computer or your mobile? They would love it. They would love to do things on their mobile or their pad. This way they can save the link, and man, all of a sudden they have an app from you, they have a link from you, and if they want to buy, they know where the information is. The third part, which is in addition to transaction, we have the relationship. Now this is very tricky. And I tell you one thing, you open any radio or you open any station or any TV station, and you know what's the topic you hear? This one right over here, artificial intelligence. And it has been around for some time. When I was with my previous companies, especially I worked for technology companies, we have some gurus in artificial intelligence. But we kind of were not ready. But now everybody is talking about it. Whether it is Elon Musk, whether it is Jeff Bezos, whether it is any of these big guys, artificial intelligence is all over the place. But don't be afraid. Artificial intelligence is something that you can use to get to know your customers better. And this is something important. Use artificial intelligence to your advantage. This means that with the combination of big data, the data that you have, the systems that you have, the algorithms that you have, you should be able to understand your customers better, by the way. And you should be able to sell them what they really need. So artificial intelligence is changing your relationship with your customer. Why? You should know them better. Second, social selling, whether it is Facebook, whether it is other media, you should know your customers. And you should always go to your customer after you have visited their website. This way you know what they have done, what they have been busy with, and this way you understand what they are looking for. And of course, don't forget, connections still matter, but traditional connections are not as easy to get as they used to be. Lots of people are hiding behind their profile. Lots of people are hiding behind the links. So you have to link yourself through the social media. But connections matter, whether electronic, virtual connections, or real connections. Because remember, it is people at the end of the day. They are the same people, but you are using different channels. So all of these things are changing. Again, whether it is the communication is changing, whether it is the transaction is changing, and last one is relationship. They are still people. Don't be afraid. You have to make sure that you're confident, show them your best skills, and bring the deal in. All right? So very good. Now, moving on to the next topic. What are the sales competencies that I like to see in you? Well, here you go. I'm going to ask you the following question. Let me see if you can answer this one. Problem solving is the number one competency a salesperson should possess. True or false? Let's see if you can answer this one. Go ahead. That's fantastic. We have some people jumping in right away. That's great. Very good. Ala, thank you for joining us. Ili, welcome back. And we have also Krishna. That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you guys for being with us today. That's fantastic. Rula, again, welcome back. We also have Walid. So we have some answers. There you go. We have some more answers coming in. That's great. I'm going to give you a few more seconds just to give everybody a chance to answer these things. I know sometimes you could be, you may not be listening fully, or you could be having lots of things around you. All right. So now I'm going to end the voting. All right. So here we go. I'm going to share the results with you. So as you can see, majority of you said true. Okay. And one of you said false. So, well, in reality, it is problem solving is not the number one. Okay. Let me go back to the presentation and share with you some of these things. When we talk about sales competencies, these are the 10 top things. At number 10 is great listening. You have to be a very good listener to the customer. You have to. This is very important. At number 9 is problem solving, as you can see over here. At number 8 is being proactive, and I hope you are. And it's an attitude, by the way. And it is also inquisitive. Inquisitive means asking the right questions. Number 6 is what I always ask you to do. Always develop yourself. That's your number one responsibility, and don't let anybody take this away from you, because that's how you become better at selling or anything else. But what are the top 5? Can you take a guess? Let's see. Can anybody share with me what are the top 5? Since I shared with you great listening, problem solving, what could be number 5 to 1? Let's see. Can anybody guess what number 1 is? Let's see. I'm going to give you a chance. Maybe somebody will type up an interesting one that I haven't heard before. Okay. Okay. All right. There you go. So Ala is telling us that number 1 should be leadership. Well, Ala, you're not that far. Thank you, sir, for sharing. Well, let me share with you what we think. Number 5 is outcome focused. This means that you are result driven. Number 4 is customer centric. This means that you have to understand your customer. Number 3 is relationship building. As you can see, relationship is very important. Number 2 is adaptable. And you guys have to understand that today, the name of the game is how to stay up with things or sometimes be ahead of it. But you know what number 1 is? Sorry, Ala, never give up. Salespeople never give up. Because salespeople, if things knock you down, you have to get up and go after the deal. And I tell you one thing, I have so many happy stories and lovely stories where we felt that the deal is gone. But at the end of the day, we managed to bring it in. Because basically, as a salesperson, you should not give up that easy. Otherwise, you're giving your food to the other person. Salespeople are always hungry for new opportunities. So don't give up that easy. Always find the fighter within you to make sure that you bring in the deal. Okay? So these are the top 10 competencies. Always remember them. Always work on them. Let's move on to the next slide. In the next slide, what I would like to talk about is the following. I'm talking about the challenges that salespeople face. I'm going to ask you a question right now. So here we go. Today, sales is a lot easier than it used to be. With online access, you can contact anyone. True or false? Let me see. What do you think? We have a few people jumping in. That's great. Thank you for your strong participation. Well done. Very good, very good. Today, sales is a lot easier than it used to be with online access. For example, LinkedIn, you can contact anyone. Well, you know what? We're kind of having a split over here. We have somebody jumping in at the last minute. Just for the sake of time, I'd like to end the voting right now, and I would like to share the results with you. So here we go. These are the results. So for those of you who mentioned true, well, in many ways, this is a tricky question. Okay, the gaining access to or getting in touch with people is very easy, but sales has become a little bit tougher. You know, simply because people, they kind of anticipate who we are, and they try to, you know, push us toward the LinkedIn, or they ask you to send me a message, or and they're becoming very smart as well. So people are becoming very smart about the sales process. So let me share with you the challenges that professional salespeople are facing. And I think these are the ones that you are kind of, when you joined this webinar, you said, I hope I can, you know, see some answers about this one. First of all, decisions are taking longer. Yes, because there are so many choices for the customer out there. And that is why you have to be very careful. If your choice is very good and you are telling the customer what it is, you can impact the sales cycle, but rest assured, cycles has become a bit longer in light of the amount of information that exists in the market. Second, the need to win more proposals. That's true. At Meirc, even at Meirc here where I work, the amount of proposals that go out is amazing. And I'm sure you do the same thing. Whether you are working for a consulting firm, or you're working for a computer company, or you're working for a pharmaceutical, or you're working for one of these big conglomerates that sells everything. The amount of proposals is just amazing because people ask for it and you have to send it. Price competition. Ask. Ask as much as you can. It's amazing how competitive the market is. But my caution to you, don't be cornered by the price competition. One of the big mistakes that people do is they play the price game. Don't. The price game should be played at the right time. Price is something you need to avoid because you need to sell your value. Always remember, always sell your value. Don't get into a price discussion with the customer. Always understand the features, the benefits, and the advantage of your customer, or FAB, features, advantages, and benefits. Always discuss these things before you even discuss the price. Discovering more qualified leads. Yes, it's becoming difficult. That's why connections comes in. So one hint I like to give you on this call. One hint I like to give you. Hello, Bassem. Hello. Welcome, Bassem. One thing I like to share with you is the following. When you are trying to work with a customer and you meet with a customer, one of the key things I always use, and it's very successful, is I ask the customer for a reference. So while I am there with the customer, I ask for a reference. I say, listen, can you refer me to one of your customers or one of your colleagues? And this way, it's an endless loop of references. And that's how you make very good deals, by the way. Weathering budget cuts. I am confident in the past 2 years, all of us have had our share of budget cuts, but things are looking better for 2018. So make sure that you go at the budgets and make sure you get your deals. The other challenges that are facing you are deals lost due to delays. Of course, sometimes they get delays due to budget cuts. Sometimes they get delays due to economic conditions. Sometimes they get delayed for no reason, simply because the manager is not there, or maybe they have changed priorities. Too many competitions. Make sure that you beat the competition. Stay on top of it. Always make sure that you know your competition. Lack of customer interest in add-on value services. Well, when I was in the IT industry and I was selling services, I always managed to sell the solution as a whole. Always sell a solution. Don't sell only one item. Sell the item plus the services plus everything that you can sell. Make sure that you sell. You know why? Because when you sell a full package, you can work with the price better. Of course, sometimes limited internal support. That's where automation comes in. And then, of course, the biggest one is gaining access to C-suite. I know that some of us struggle with getting to the C-suite, but I will share with you some interesting books toward the end, which you can read and find out more tips around how to get to the C-suite. I had the share to do it, and I tell you, there's nothing better than dealing with the top executives. How do you deal with them? I'll give you a hint. Here is one. Exhibitions, visit them. Conferences, be there. Always make sure that you have your e-card or business card ready. that you deal with them, and always be the executive. Why? Because you are an executive. You see, when you come to this webinar or come to our courses, I don't treat you as a salesperson. Never. I treat you as an executive, as a GM. Why? Because you are a GM, a walking GM. You meet with the customer, you make decisions, you have a quota. You're just renting space in your company, but you need to succeed. That is why if you put on the GM hat, you become a GM. So never, never underestimate your capabilities. However, the most difficult one is management of self remains the biggest root cause of majority of the problem. I mentioned 10 big problems, but how you manage yourself is the key. Managing yourself is the top priority for you. And that is why if you think as a GM, you start organizing yourself, managing yourself as if you are a walking company. So managing self is the biggest obstacle. And if you manage to overcome this obstacle, you can overcome any obstacle. So here comes the following slide. Personal management. I'm going to pull you here. Successful salespeople need persistent, not organization. True or false? Let me see. Let me see what you're going to answer. All right, fantastic. We have some people jumping in right away. That's great, and I want to thank you. We're already at halfway through. That's good. I'm going to repeat the question again. Successful salespeople need persistence, not organizations. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm going to give only a few more seconds for everybody to participate, just to be fair. Okay. Now I'm going to end the voting. I'm going to share the results. So for those of you who said they need persistence, not organization, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm sorry. For those who said it's false, well done. Why? Because let me tell you why. Here comes the presentation. The key to effective selling, ladies and gentlemen, is organization. You have to be organized very, very well. When you become organized, you become effective, you become persistent. But if you are not organized, lots of your efforts is wasted. So always make sure that you organize yourself. Always make sure that you have a daily task list. Always make sure that you have your proper filing done, whether electronically or not. Always make sure that you organize your life in a very, very good way. You are the GM. That's what I agreed on. If you are the GM, you have to be organized. Okay? What does it mean to be organized? When we talk about organization, this means that you have to manage yourself. You have to be you have to apply personal management. This means that you have to apply self-mastery. And self-mastery means that you have to develop yourself, make sure that you're always ready, make sure that you know your stuff, you know the material, you know the content of the stuff that you are selling, you know how it operates, you know what you're talking about. Second thing is personal planning. You have to plan your agenda. You have to plan your schedule. You have to plan your meetings. When you're going to make cold calls, when you're going to call the customer. Personal planning, you're your own secretary. If you don't have one, you have to be your own administrator. If you have one, she has to be very, very good, or he has to be very, very good at planning your personal life, because that's a key thing about organization. Third, self-talk. Self-talk, you might laugh at me and say, Jamal, what's self-talk? Self-talk, remember, as a GM, nobody's gonna motivate you. In many cases, you have to motivate yourself. So be used or get used to the fact that sometimes, every now and then, you have to give yourself a pep talk. Or sometimes you have to criticize yourself. You know what? I can't do better than this. Because this journey of becoming a distinguished professional salespeople, sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back. And you have to get used to it. Simply because don't expect your manager to tell you good job every day. You have to find the will and the power from within. Last one is personal image. If you are in sales, your image matters a lot. And don't tell me not. Because if you look good, you can sell. If you don't look good, they will not meet you again. So always take care of yourself, the way you dress. And self-talk, appraising yourself. Yes, Arama. Sometimes you appraise yourself, my dear friend. Well done. Sometimes you judge yourself, say, how did I do today? Did I do good? And usually appraising yourself can be done at the end of the day. So thank you, Rama, for your participation. Well done, buddy. This is a very good point. Now, So personal management is very important. So here we go to the next one. As a salesperson, as a sales executive, as a GM, you have to put a strategy. So always remember, a strategy is very important for sales success. You cannot do it without organization, and it's very important that you find the time for it. What does it mean to develop a sales strategy? To develop a sales strategy means that you have to define who is my ideal customer. Who am I selling to? You have to know your USP, unique selling proposition. You know what it is, unique selling proposition? I'll tell you what it is. If I meet you in an elevator, can you tell me what you do within 30 seconds? You see, this is very powerful. This is very, very powerful. If I meet you in an elevator, can you tell me within 30 seconds who you are and what you do? And this is very critical. That's what distinguishes you. Third, you have to analyze your territory. Where are you selling? Which geography sells most? Which customer segment sells most? And then, of course, who is your competition? You should know your competition. Never forget that. Last one is sales expectations. You see, when you have a sales strategy, you should know your numbers. And based on your numbers, you can work with your management on the number that you're going to bring into the company. That is why some responsibility about strategic selling is on your shoulders, not only on the management. And the better you become at strategy and sales strategy, this means that you're opening your door to become a sales director, sales vice president, and hopefully a sales leader one day. Okay? So now, moving on. The selling process. This is where I like to spend 5 minutes to 10 minutes. But before we do that, here comes the question. Prospecting is a traditional sales activity. It's not needed anymore today. True or false? Let me see. Prospecting is a traditional sales activity. It's not needed anymore. True or false? Let's see how you're voting. Very good. Well done. Thank you for jumping in right away. That's fantastic. That's great. Thank you for your participation. I will give everybody another 5-10 minutes, seconds before I, end the voting. I just want to make sure I'm giving everybody a chance. But I'm also aware of the time and that some of you don't have enough, a lot of time to stay with us, unfortunately. But I want to make sure I finish this presentation in time for you to benefit the most, and we take it from there. Okay? Couple more seconds. So I'm going to end the voting right now. Here we go. I'm going to show you the results. So some of you said true and some of you had said false. Well, prospecting is a traditional sales activity. It's not needed. No, still needed very much, but the tools have changed. Okay, so here we go. This is the sales process. The selling process starts with prospecting and qualification. Now, you might say, Jamal, do I have a sales process in my business? Ask your sales team, ask your department. And if you are new to selling, you should have a process. It might be a little bit different than this, but you should have one right there. And typically, this is kind of a standard sales process. You start with prospecting. What does it mean? Looking for opportunities, finding opportunities, asking people. You think you have an opportunity there? Are you interested in our product? You have to find out. You always have to be on the lookout for opportunities, and this is very critical. Today, I was visiting a customer. I, as a Meirc employee, I go out and I meet customers and see how can I sell them my services. The second part is pre-approach. What does it mean? Pre-approach is preparing to meet with the customer. Okay, preparing to make sure that you all have all the necessary details that the customer might be interested in. Third, the approach. That's where you meet with the customer. That's where you sit face to face with the customer and try to convince them of your products or services. And then, of course, you have the presentation demonstration. This is a tough one, but it's lots of fun. I love it. Why? Because I own the forum, I own the theater. And this is where I talk about product with passion and make sure that they understand how important this product is. And then, of course, there will be objections. So be ready to answer questions and to overcome objections. Always stay positive. Never, ever take things in a personal way when you talk to the customer. It's a big mistake. The customer will always ask questions. Sometimes they try to trip you, even though it's very rare, but always make sure that you are ready to answer the customer's questions. Last one is closing. That's where you have to close. Probably part of negotiations, you negotiate and you close the deal. Could be some final price negotiation, some discounting. And last but not least, follow-up and maintenance. That's relationship. This is most of it is transaction and then relationship. That's where you build relationship and move into the next step again. And of course, communication is happening all throughout each one of them. This sales process is very important. Keep it in mind. Always remember. And by the way, you have to be very good at each one of them. That's number one. And you also have to have the necessary measures for each one of them. What do I mean? You have to have KPIs for each one of them. All right? Now, moving on. When I talk about prospecting, it's the lifeblood of sales. This means that that's where you're building your pipeline. That's where you increase your sales. And that's where either you replace new customers or you find new customers. When we talk about pre-approach, that is where you understand the customer strategic needs. That's where you try to understand what they are looking for. You demonstrate your understanding of their needs. You sell them what they want. I'm going to repeat again. You sell them what they want. Because if you sell them what you want, you're not listening to the customer. You have to sell them what they want. So you have to be a very good listener. And the third item on the third item of the process, or the third step, is make sure that you have the pre-approach. Sorry, this is the second step still. Make sure that in the pre-approach you understand your competition. In the competition, in the competitive, when you're trying to understand your competitors, there are 4 things I like to draw your attention to. The first one is the competitive perceived advantage. What does it mean? That's what the customer thinks the competition has that you don't have. Who planted that in the customer's mind? The competition. So you have to fight it. This means that you go into step number 2. That is where you try to offset these benefits. This means that you counter it. And then in step number 3, that's where you highlight the competitor's weaknesses. And in step number 4, that's where you talk about your strengths. Okay, so that's what we call competitive analysis. This is extremely important. Always do it with any competitor you have. Now, in the approach, you meet with the customer, make sure that you're building rapport, you're uncovering the needs and asking questions, and of course, always show interest, pay attention, and make sure you transition to the next step. Make sure you transition to the next step, because sales is always forward moving, always moving forward. Then, in the sales presentation, that's where you show your knowledge, you show your beliefs, you show your desire, you show your attitude in a very big way. Do you love your company? Do you represent your company the right way? Do you have conviction behind your product? You see, the customer will have a very interesting view of you depending on the way you walk into the office, the way you dress, but most importantly about how you prepare for the presentation. Once you do the presentation, of course, we like to talk about certain things. So keep in mind, objections will come up. They will talk about certain things in the objections. So always have a positive attitude when they object. Always anticipate objection. This means that you prepare. Evaluate objections. This means that you don't answer right away. So when they are talking, don't give them the answer right away. Take a pause, think about it, and give them the answer. This way you come up with a better answer, by the way. It only takes a couple of seconds. And then, of course, seek clarification. In case you're not sure, please ask the customer the question. Say, listen, is this what you mean? At least you know what you're going to answer, instead of answering like, sorry, like you don't know. This way you answer. And if you don't have an answer, there's nothing wrong if you say, I don't have the answer for you. Can I come back to you on this topic? And then, of course, time your response. Always time your response. Timing is very, very important. And then, of course, comes closing the deal. In closing the deal, ladies and gentlemen, always remember that this is the name of the game. You can do lots of effort. You can do lots of visits. You can do lots of research. You have to close the deal. You have to close the deal to get your numbers. Sales is about closing deals. And here are some essential items to improve your chances. Number 1, be sure your prospect understands what you're saying. Okay? If he doesn't understand the first time, repeat again. Number 2, always present a complete story. Don't give them half a story. Don't try to, tell the customer something you're not sure of and you give them half a story. Customers, to develop trust, sometimes you have to say it as it is. Believe me, nothing beats trust in the sales game. Number 3, tailor your close to each prospect. Don't try to close one deal the same thing like the other. Every deal has its own fingerprint. Number 4, everything you do and say should consider the customer's point of view. Always take the customer point of view into consideration, whether it is payment terms, discounting, support, the services, spare parts, whatever it is. Always make sure you do that. Last but not least, never stop at the first no. You know what? You're going to hear lots of no's in your sales life. Make sure that you get used to the fact that you will get some refusals, but through these refusals, some of them you're going to reverse and some of them you're going to win. Okay. Following up and maintenance, this is the last step in the sales process. Always make sure that you are honest with the customer, be transparent, always acknowledge the mistakes if they happen because you're the GM, and always say thank you. Never forget to thank the customer and develop a real relationship. Following up is the bread and it's the food for the earth. So it's very important you always do that. Now, here comes negotiation. I'm gonna just speed up a little bit about negotiations, and my apologies for that. But remember, negotiation is the process that occurs when two or more parties, each of whom is seen as controlling something. They have something, usually customers have the money, and you have the product or services, and you're trying to exchange things here. They want something from you, you want something from them. And if you are able to have a win-win negotiations, then congratulations. Okay? So what happens in negotiations? What are the stages of negotiations? I'm going to share with you three elements. First, communication. You have to communicate in negotiations. You have to be a very good communicator. Does this remind you of something? Of course, sales. Also, communication is important in sales and in negotiations. How you communicate is very important. Second, planning. Please don't forget planning. If you go to a negotiation session without planning, don't call me because you would have lost already. You have to plan your negotiations. You have to understand what are they looking for, what kind of questions they might ask, what could they be interested in, what kind of things that they might be able to concessions, which takes us to the trading concessions. And trading concessions, ladies and gentlemen, you always have to remember, trading concessions doesn't mean that you give up everything from the first go. Trading concessions means that you give something up, they give something up in return. But doesn't mean that you drop everything and then you have nothing to drop. Be very careful. Trading concessions is very important. So these three elements are critical to trading concessions. All right. Now, 6 elements of successful negotiations. This is our last poll, and here we go. So, can you please answer the following before I start wrapping up? The first step in negotiations is preparation. True or false? Let's see. Somebody said false, somebody said true. Well, that's very good. Let's see, okay. Excellent, excellent. Very good. I'll give everybody another 10 seconds, no more, just to be fair, because I want to make sure I finish on time, because you have been very patient with us. So thank you so much for that. All right. The first step in negotiating is preparation. All right. I'm going to end the voting. There we go. I'm going to share the results. So those of you who said true, good for you. Well done. You did not forget the lesson about planning, and you have to prepare. Those of you who said false, my apologies. You have to prepare. And you know what? Preparation is important in everything we do. Okay? So there are 6 key elements of negotiations. Number 1, prepare. Always be prepared. Always understand what is your product, what is your discount, what can you offer, what are the services, what are your concessions, and then also prepare on the other side. Okay, what does the other side want? Always do that. Then rehearse. Rehearse is very interesting. This means that you run a role play or rehearse with your team and say, listen guys, you be the customer and I be the company, and let's try to do negotiations. Describe your positions. What is it that you want to sell or you want to negotiate on? This is very critical. Propose. Of course, at the end of the day, you have to propose something so you can get to the closing stage. Bargain. This is the last few seconds of the deal. That's where you bargain. Bargain means that the 1% and 2% that you're going to let go of to get the deal. Agree, you shake hands. That's where you shake hands. That's where you sign the contract and make sure that you send it to your finance department so that they can process the deal. Okay, whether it is online contract or a physical contract, make sure that you do it. Now, this will take us to the last few pages. Questioning is very important, guys. Always ask the right questions. So when we're asking questions, only questions will give you the information you need. And that's true. If you don't ask questions, you will never know what the customer wants. So avoid as much as you can, avoid talking more than the customer. You see, sometimes what happens is that you talk more than the customer. What a mistake. Ask questions, let the customer talk, and ask open questions. Don't ask closed questions, yes and no. Ask open questions. For example, what are the issues that you're facing? What are the difficulties challenges you're facing right now? This way they talk about it and you try to match the solution to their needs. Asking questions will give you information that others do not have. And the professional asks questions, the amateur gives answers. So while others give answers, you get the questions and you propose the right solution. Always make sure that you ask the prospect, if you could, ask a number of straightforward questions. This means that you really care about them. Use silence and pauses. You see this one here? Use silence and pauses. That's amazing. Silence is one of the best formulas to get more information from the customer. Last but not least, make sure that you have a list of basic questions. That list, you usually give it in our training courses, but you should always have it. You should have between 10 to 15 questions that you should always prepare for when you go and visit the customer. Okay? Now, when it comes to building customer relationships, please remember the following. Good performance and skill won't get you far. You need others to succeed. So when you are working with customers, your success is built on other people's shoulders as well. So thank people who help you out. Make sure that you always remember their support and make sure you thank them, because it is a team effort at the end of the day. And by the way, it's becoming more and more obvious today. Team effort gets success. Okay? And always remember as well that you cannot get people to listen to you if you don't like them, if they don't like you. This means that, sometimes if you're talking too much, people tend to stop listening to you. But how do you get people to like you? Well, be pleasant, smile on your face, be honest, be sincere. Uh, um, don't try to be somebody else. These are critical things. So try to become likable. And believe me, it's not difficult. It's a skill that you can develop. And then when you're building customer relationship, okay, if they don't listen, you won't accomplish anything. So make sure that they listen to you. Ask questions. Let them know that you care. This is very critical, guys. And then, of course, when it comes to relations, is equal to expectations. If you are matching the customer's expectations, you are in the driver's seat. You win. You close the deal. So make sure that you understand the expectations. By the way, expectations are inside the company and outside your company. Expectations, first of all, you have expectations with your boss, with the management, with your leadership. You have expectations to yourself and your family, and you have expectations toward your customers. So always manage expectations. All right. Last one, for on this lab of slides, you must know the expectations and manage them. Once you know the expectations, you manage them. How do you know expectations? Ask questions. Is this one you want the website to be up and running? Is this one you want the product delivered? At least when you know, you start managing expectations. So always make sure the expectations are clear on both sides of the formula. Now, I leave you with some 5 rules of successful relationships. Always make sure that you be yourself, be of value, always bring value to the table, always bring value. Be consistent, be truthful, and do what you say you will do. Diwizwit. The very nice thing about Diwizwit is that you always deliver on what you promise. This way you build credibility, and when you have credibility, you earn their trust. As we close up, the art of sales communication, always make sure that you listen to your customer, use their names, use their words, you and your, pay attention to the body language, to everybody in the company, praise and compliment them, pause before you answer them, acknowledge, don't interrupt, love your customer, love your customer. When it comes to communication skills, make sure that you transform your ideas the right way, build credibility with your colleagues and subordinates, listen and ask questions, present and work on your presentation skills, and as much as possible try to present your information in a spoken format, and make sure that you always present them in a very interesting way, capturing way, and always use reflective listening. Reflective listening is very important. What does it mean? It means that you paraphrase what they said, you repeat in your own language what they said, reflect their feelings. When they say nod your head, you said, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Summarize after you have spoken for an hour, repeat what they said, summarize in a couple of sentences, put it in your notebook, and make sure that you send them an email. Summarizing is very important, and don't forget your question. These are important part of the reflective listening process. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you from the bottom of your heart for your listening today. You guys have been fantastic, and thank you for your participation. Here are some courses that are coming up. One of them is coming up very soon in March. Another one is coming up in November. Both of them are in English. My email is over there. Please send me any questions you have. I'll be more than happy to assist. If you like to have a copy of this presentation, by all means, let us know and we will send it to you. The presentation is ready and it is in PDF format that you will get it. By all means, my linked account is over there. Look me up. I'll be more than happy to accept your invitation. I'll be honored to accept your invitation. Last but not least, I like to, first of all, thank you. And then I like to share with you some books. First of all, Spin Selling, very interesting book by Neil Rackham. Spin selling is very critical. Why? Because it teaches you about long-term opportunities. Those opportunities that usually take 3 to 4 months or a year to close. So spin selling is very important for the big opportunities, strategic opportunities. Professional Selling by Thomas Ingram and Raymond Lafarge. Very, very interesting book. Selling to the C-suite. Remember I told you about this one. Get this book. It's very good. And it helps you a lot in terms of getting to the upper echelons of the organizations. And then, of course, the last set of books, you have Getting to Yes. Very interesting book. This is a very famous book by Roger Fisher and William Ury and Bruce Patton. They are the masters of negotiations. I suggest that you get these books. They are all available in e-copy, I believe. And then, of course, Negotiations by Michael Wheeler. I love this guy. He has a very interesting webinar. Listen to it. Very, very effective speaker. And last but not least, Managing the Customer Experience, Turning Customers into Advocates by Sean Smith and Joe Wheeler. So I want to thank you again. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with us today. If you have any questions, please let us know, and I'll be more than happy to hear from you again. More webinars are coming, so stay tuned to our webinars, and I'll be more than happy to see you again in future sessions. Any questions before we wrap up? Do you have any questions? Yes, Basim, you'll get a copy of the presentations. And anybody else, please? Ala, you'll get the copy for sure. Yes, of course. Thank you all, Ala, Rama, all of you. Thank you for being with us. So we'll make sure that the copy of presentations are gone to you. Thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend wherever you are, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now, and take care.
Meirc.com